The Yuletide is a season of merrymaking, but is also oftentimes accompanied by devastating reports of fire outbreaks globally. Now, in Nigeria, fire outbreak is a perennial problem, and yearly incidents are reported. Over 100 cases of fire outbreaks have been reported in 2018 alone. This figure is indeed worrisome, as efforts by various agencies of government in the country on prevention appear not to be yielding the required results, as more cases are reported annually. On Nigeria Today, we shall be examining fire outbreaks in Nigeria. In the course of our discussion, we hope to identify some preventive measures to ensure reduction of fire-related cases in Nigeria. I am JIBUNOH. Thanks for joining us. The program is Nigeria Today, and with me in the studio to discuss fire outbreaks in Nigeria is Assistant Controller General Julius Okpetusu. He is the Director, FCT Fire Service. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Now, what actions lead to fire outbreaks?
Fire outbreak, fire does not happen just like that. There must be an abnormal situation before there can be fire outbreak. Probably because you and I fail to do what we are supposed to do, or we do what we are not supposed to do. Failure of us to do the needful, will lead to fire outbreak. And most especially, carelessness is one of those things that cause this fire outbreak. For example, during this Yuletide period, people are very happy. They wanted to travel home, and in the process, some people might even leave their electronics, electronics, everything. They can leave it like that without putting it off, or probably they might have taken light before they travel. By the time you travel, you forget all these things. I know fire does not tell anybody, and once there is high voltage from PHN or DC, there will be spark. All these electrical appliances we are using, it has limit. If you on the electrical appliances for a certain period of time, you see, after some time, you see that the period you are using it, you have overused that time. In other
words, you're saying it's not advisable to leave your appliances on when you are not at home?
It's not advisable. When you are not at home, when you are leaving your home, it's better to put off all your electrical appliances. You can even remove the plug from the socket. By doing that, at least, even if there is any spark, it will not affect the electrical appliances.
How about natural occurrences? Sometimes you can't avoid these things. You do all you can, but you still get this, run into this problem.
Yes, thank you. There are natural causes. There are many causes of fire. The first of it is natural cause, which you and I does not have any power over. But thank God for Nigeria, we don't have all this natural disaster here. But because of our carelessness, at times we fall into victims of this fire outbreak from our different homes, even in offices. Some people will leave their office and they leave the electrical appliances on and all those things. Now,
are there categories of fire? Do we have categories?
Yes, we have categories of fire. We have class A. This one deals with solid materials like the table, chairs, and some solid combustible materials we have in our offices and in our different homes. This one can be, the fire from this combustible material can be extinguished with water, which they are solid materials. Then we have category B, class B. This one is with oil fire. And no oil fire, you cannot use water to extinguish oil fire. That's why when you see, when you have fire in a filling station or probably from a petrol tanker, you don't use water. You might use water to cool the tank, but you use a chemical foam. That's why when you see firefighters fighting oil fire, you see them, you taking going to the fireground with a foam tender instead of water tender. These are appliances too. They have a different kind of a fire they fight. And another type of fire is a class C, which is the one deals with gas. It deals with gas fire. We use liquefied gas now, LPG, because thank God for for the improvement, because people have been using kerosene now. People use LPG now, and you see whether those people, whether the traders, whether they have the experience or they don't have. Many people want to deal with gas, and they want to be retail sellers. You see when you go to various areas, even in FCT, in all those states, you see people putting about 5 cylinders, putting them on top of one another, and they be selling gas to people. So this one, any fire that happens from this gas as a classifier, you cannot fight it with ordinary fire. Why? That's why when you see firefighters, when there is oil fire, you see them. There is this gas fire. This one mostly happen in the kitchen, in our homes, and in filling stations too, where we have this gas plant. You see them fighting. Some people will be fighting the fire, and some will even be cooling the cylinder. For example, in our home, that's why we advise that people should put their cylinder outside the kitchen, because of the heat being generated in the kitchen.
Now, we have noticed from reports we've been hearing across the country, we've heard so many cases of fire outbreaks, especially markets in different parts of the country. Earlier, we in the reports that we gave in our intro, we noticed that we've had hundreds of these cases. Why is there a rise? There seems to be a rise in these cases of fire incidents in the country. Why is this happening?
Yes, there's rise in the cases of fire outbreak in the country, most especially in the markets. You see that, of recent, you had a fire in we have one in Kefi Central Market. We have another one at Benue, and many places we have this fire outbreak. The time this fire outbreak happen in the market is always in the night. Why is it in the night? You see that in some markets, many people live inside the market, and when you are living in the market, automatically you must eat. And how do you prepare your food? You can prepare this food through stove and other kitchen utensils. You use all these things. When you prepare your food, some people can be careless, and where you have combustible materials, you see some people, you have cutting, drawing to, even reaching the floor. And any mistake from the fire, or probably the way you run your cable, your electric cable in the shops, can even cause the fire outbreak. But mostly this fire happen in the night, when people, some people might have even left their shops, and there are some people, these people that are living in the market, when they cook, they leave the fire unattended to.
And it's during the Harmattan period this happens?
Although it happens in the rainy season too, but the fire mostly happens in the Harmattan period. It's very, very rampant in the Harmattan period. And you know why it's so rampant in the Harmattan period is that with the weather is hot and it's windy. When there is fire in the market or in any premises, you see that the wind that is blowing will even escalate the fire. That's why we normally ask people, when there is fire in a place, call the nearest fire station to you. And by the time you call the nearest fire station, tell them the kind of material that is on fire, so that we know the kind of equipment we bring when we are coming to fight that fire.
Now, you've said something now about a form of enlightenment. Yes. Is there any package for these, not just markets, for Nigerians to ensure that they have these safety tips on their fingertips?
Yes, every fire service have a awareness campaign. For example, in FCT, we have an annual awareness campaign that we do to sensitize people, on incessant fire outbreak, and on this, like most of the times, in this dry period, many people want to cultivate their farmland, and by doing that, you see them doing uncontrolled bush burning. And we normally sensitize people against indiscriminate bush burning. And why we are doing this is that we tell people, how do you, if you want to cultivate your farm, what do you do? How do you control the bush, the bush burning you are doing? When you clear, and then another thing, you have to clear your surroundings and your premises. No, at least about 5 meters, after your fence. 5 meters away from the fence, you clear. When you clear it, and there's every tendency that when there's fire outside, it will not jump into your premises.
Okay. Earlier you said something about the different categories of fire.
Yes.
If there is a fire, for instance, in a house, what should someone do? Should you pour water into the fire, or what do you do?
That's why we normally advise people, when you are you make sure you have serviceable fire extinguishers in your homes. It's not every fire that you call firefighters to come and extinguish, but we advise when there is fire, you call fire service, and you can use available portable fire extinguisher to fight that fire. When the fire is getting out of hand, then you can you allow it for fire service to fight the fire, so that you don't endanger your life. In our different homes, we have different types of things that can lead to fire outbreak. For example, when you put matches at the reach of the children can be playing with the matches, and before you know it, they can set a combustible materials on fire. And when they do that, you see then they run out of the building with the fear of being beaten by their parents. All this one, you have to be careful. When you train your children, you tell them these are the things that you need to do. And some people believe that when you show this thing to the children, even if you have a gas cooker in your house, tell them this is how you operate it. By the time you teach them how to operate this, even in your absence, they can do this. They can operate and prepare food for you. But if you don't teach them, these are the things you need to do, then the mistake might come and it will be very devastating.
All right, now beyond water, what else can you use?
Like I said the other time, we have a classes of fire. We have class A, class B, class C, and a class D. Where we use water is on these solid materials, like the chair we are sitting on. Is a solid materials, and you can use fire to extinguish the fire. You can use water to extinguish this fire. But when there is oil fire, you don't use water. When you use water, the fire escalates and you get out of control. So you use a chemical foam to extinguish that fire.
All right, we will take, let's now listen to a cross-section of Abuja residents on their thoughts on fire outbreaks in the country.
People storing flammable substance around their houses. So most times when you store this, the heat, like those that store fuel in jerry cans, once the heat excites the fuel, it flames up. Then those that keep their environments untidy, maybe somebody's passing, he's smoking, or people cooking with firewood or charcoal, it blows it and it gets up. So people need to do a lot of housekeeping, keep flammable things outside their environment.
Fire outbreak can actually be caused by several factors, one of which is human, others are natural. And most times I think we are more concerned about the human factor, which can be due to carelessness, like in an area where there are dry bushes, and carelessness from people who are trying to get animals. They can easily set fire to make the animals come out of their hiding places, but before you know, this stuff can can go out of hand and affect buildings around and other valuables, government and non-government valuables.
We also have children who play with matches, which can set ignition at any time. But there are also careless attitudes which people do to cause the fire outbreak.
Like, let people know the importance of not doing something. Something related to that, as in educating people about the danger that involves it.
This is Nigeria Today, and we're back in the studio. We're still taking a look at fire outbreak in Nigeria, and I have with me the Director FCT Fire Service, his Assistant Controller General Julius Okpetisim. Now you've listened to their comments, so what do you have to say?
In fact, all the comments are right. They are very good. Like I said the other time, carelessness. There are some people that are used to look for bushmeats. They set the bush on fire. Do you know most of the fire that happen in FCT? Those people that don't keep their surroundings tidy. The fire extends. Come from the bush and extend it to the premises. And this, at times, they can even burn the whole house. At times, some people may not even be in their houses. They might have traveled, and if they don't keep their surroundings tidy, the fire can even extend into that place through the bush burning. And so, some people too, when they smoke, they drop the cigarette stubs, carelessness on the dry bush. And when you drop it on the dry bush, the thing will be burning gradually. And when it generates heat, it moves around, and when the wind blows, it fans the fire, and the fire escalates. And from then, it goes straight, into all other areas.
Okay, have you been able to arrest, or is there any penalty for such actions? Maybe, somebody causing a fire, especially in this kind of circumstances.
Like what you do, in fire prevention, you tell people what to do to prevent fire. Then you carry out your awareness campaign. First of all, you do the fire risk assessment. You see, what do they have in that building? Do they even have a proper exit? If there's an emergency, how do you escape from the building, from the premises? When you do this one, then you give the owners of the premises, you give them your professional advice. And that one, after doing that one, then after giving them the professional advice, then you come back later, give them the time for them, to effect the recommendation that you have given them. And if after some time they refuse to carry out the recommendation, then you give them a warning letter, and from there you can now enforce the National Fire Safety Code. That is to enforce, to tell them, you people, you're supposed to carry out certain things, and when you refuse to do it, that can cause a fire outbreak or cause nuisance to other people, then that person will be penalized.
Okay.
So like us now, we have a enforcement unit that move around after the awareness campaign. Then they move around to make sure that people comply with the fire safety standard.
Okay. Now, can you tell us any of those penalties?
No,
the most stringent one is.
No, there are many penalties that we can give. For example, now, if you refuse to provide necessary exit in a building, and there's fire in that building, and people are trapped, you have caused a problem, and when people die, it's not a good thing. You can seal up that premises, and when you seal up the premises, you have to pay certain fines to the government for the premises to be open again.
Okay. All right. Let's look at your role beyond the fire prevention. What are those roles?
Yes. Besides fire prevention, we do firefighting, and we effect rescue. And beside that, we enforce the National Fire Safety Code. Now, this National Fire Safety Code, was approved by the Federal Executive Council in 2013, and that's the one we have been using. That one, I mean, it tell you about the number of exits you're supposed to have in a building, the fire defense equipment you need to provide in the building, then and those necessary things you need to do. I mean, for you to make sure that even your premises is safe. It's safe for you, for the customers, and for the neighbors. These are the things that we look for. But before we can enforce certain things, you need to let people know what are the things they're supposed to do.
Now, in cities like Abuja, Lagos, Port Harcourt, and big cities generally, we know that there are equipment for firefighting, and your presence, we see your presence and all that. How about smaller cities and rural communities? What happens in those areas?
Thank you very much. You know, this thing has been giving us concern. Not like you mentioned Abuja, Lagos, Port Harcourt. I mean, when you see the presence of fire service and even their equipment too. But in some of these states, they don't have necessary fire appliances. For example, in the state where you have 3 fire appliances, how are you going to distribute these 3 fire appliances to combat fire? It's very, very inadequate. So, you know, maintaining fire service is highly expensive. But if you want to do this, no, our government are really trying. They are really trying, but even some corporate organizations supposed to assist fire service. No, I've seen many corporate organizations that donate vehicles to our sister agencies, but I've never heard of any corporate organization donating vehicles to fire service. I know if you use like 2.5 billion naira to set up a business, and you don't protect the business that you set up, you don't protect the premises, the fire can finish that building within hours. So that's why you need to pay more attention to fire service. Certainly.
Now,
yes.
Okay, I want you to quickly give us a few key steps, you know, people should take to avoid fire in this Harmattan season. Just quick.
Okay, thank you very much. We need to be.
And then what they should do in case there's a fire.
In case there's a fire. Yes. To prevent fire, you need to be very careful. Like what we have mentioned the other time, don't put matches at the risk of the children. Then, like in the kitchen, when you are using gas, make sure your cylinder is put outside the kitchen. And then make sure you have portable fire extinguishers in your homes. Then, some of us, we don't have a fire service number. You have to know the fire service number. The fire service station that is nearest to you, you have to know the number, or you can call the control room number. The control room, when you call the control room number, the control room call the nearby fire station to the
control room number of the national.
No, not the national. Like in FCT now, we have a control room number, which is 09-290-6118. When you call that control room, whatever part of FCT that there is fire, then they can turn out the nearby fire station to that fire incident. Then in other states too, you can call the nearby fire station if you have the control room number. If you can even call the police. If you call the police can even contact the nearest fire station to that. But no, why we normally advise people to call the fire station is that if you say you want to make a running call, before you enter your vehicle, and you might waste some time, like 15 minutes. And fire doesn't wait for anyone. Okay. When you waste time, you see that the fire will be going on, and it will get out of control before you get there.
I certainly.
So, and when there is fire like that, you can use portable fire extinguishers you have at home to fight that fire. But when you see that the fire is so much and is getting out of control, please don't endanger your life. Call fire service. They are experts. They can do this thing.
Thank you very much for joining us today, Assistant Controller General Julius Peterson, Director, you're also the Director, FCT Fire Service. Thank you for joining us, and many thanks for also keeping this date with us today on the program. You can also watch this particular edition of the program and previous ones online at www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I am Anne JIBUNOH. Bye for now.